Hi, my name is Dr. Faria Bukhari, Dr. Fab, and I am doing this video in regards to the latest attack of terrorism against the people of Gaza by Israel, where 500 civilian patients of Gaza were martyred and massacred by the Biden administration and his allies in France, Italy, Germany, and UK. Uh, we have been saying using the word genocide millions of times on all social media, even on mainstream media. This word has sprung up multiple times, but when it comes to trying to do something tangible about it, nothing has been done as yet. Um, One of the most important thing that can be done is to confront the Biden administration for being complicit in these war crimes, for supporting the use of white phosphorus bombing, for committing a genocide of the Gaza civilians, Palestinians, children, women, elderly, for carpet bombing Gaza indiscriminately, uh, for violating Geneva Conventions, for supporting the blockade of water, electricity, food to millions and millions of Gaza civilians. Um, Biden can be petitioned in the US court. The American people and the humanitarian organizations who are pro-Palestine in US and registered in US, they can file a petition against the US government for committing war crimes and can confront the US president over his complicit over his complicit involvement in violating Geneva Conventions, in halting the attempts for a ceasefire, and in making peace impossible. And if we go by the US Constitution, we are seeing the US law being broken by its own president. And while the American people are flooding the streets of US, their voices are falling on deaf ears. The government is not listening to them. The government is going against their wishes. There is no democracy in US. It's a state of communism. And the last resort that the people have is to go to the court of law and to file a proper mass lawsuit against the US government, against the current Biden administration for pushing US into a genocide that US does not want to be part of, that the American people don't want to be part of. American people do not want their tax dollars to be spent on killing the children of Gaza. And this is, however, still being done by the US administration and the entire US Congress, no matter which political party you talk about, is supporting this genocide, unfortunately. And one of the criteria for being able to make it to any political office of US for the last many decades has been that you have to pledge allegiance to Israel. And if you do not support Israel and its war crimes and its atrocities and the apartheid against the Palestinians, you cannot make it to the office. Rashida was a breath of fresh air. She was able to break the barrier. Ilhan, she was able to break the barrier. Both are Muslims, both do not support Israel, both do not support an apartheid. However, their value and their power has been rendered to that of a lollipop that has been flashed in front of the 2 billion Muslims of the world by George Soros to appease them, to pacify them, to tell them that yes, you do have some representation in the US Congress where your concerns can be uttered, but nothing can be done in response to those concerns being raised by these two Muslim congresswomen. We have been seeing a rapid escalation of violence, aggression, war crimes, atrocities against the Palestinians, even though Rashida and Ilhan have been in office for the last 3 years. This is the last year of the Biden administration. Biden's investors like George Soros and some deep state societies, secret societies who have been funding and investing Biden are promising him the new presidency. They want to make sure that they escalate violence to be able to achieve their agenda of territorial gains in the entire region, to be able to monopolize geopolitics, to contain and to neutralize Iran in the region, and at the same time create a strong sense of fear, not just within the American people, but also within the entire Muslim community of the Middle East and beyond, by flashing this bloody crusade like war in front of them. I'm doing this video because every year we see this happen. Every year Gaza gets bombed, carpet bombed. Every year we see that Gaza children are massacred indiscriminately. Every year resolutions are processed in the United Nations Security Council without any results because of vetoing by US. Just one country vetoes everything that has been processed against Israel. So there are two things that can be done. The first thing is I request organizations like Code Pink, Veterans Against War, to petition the US President in the US Court of Law for breaking the US Constitution, for not abiding by the will of the people of US, for abusing the US tax dollars, spending them on Gaza genocide. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that we have to make sure that the issue of this genocide is raised immediately in the United Nations Security Council. And one way to do it is to process a resolution against the Biden administration within the United Nations, and starting a phase trial where the various nations of the world unite on the platform of United Nations and confront the Biden administration with a resolution against Biden himself, so that he's stripped off his right to veto any future resolution that is processed against the Israeli apartheid. Once we incapacitate the power of Biden administration within the United Nations, we are going to be able to get some results, productivity out of processing tangible resolutions in favor of the Palestinian people. And this has to be done. This can be done legally. We need to consult the lawyers about this. The other thing is that one thing that I'm trying to tell over here is that Israel is not doing a proxy war against the Palestinian people right now in Gaza. This is war. This is battle. This is combat battle. They are defenseless. What they have is this certain group called Hamas, and then they have Hezbollah. Both are controversial, made controversial because they have been speaking in favor of the self-defense of the Palestinian people. However, right now, if they are supposed to be a proxy of Iran in the region, the proxy is not helping the people of Gaza. 3,000 civilians of Gaza have been massacred brutally, out of which we have more than 1,000 children who were just slaughtered. And there are only two options. The first option is to invoke an immediate ceasefire through the United Nations Security Council that Israel will have to abide by. But that cannot be done till Biden is confronted and his powers are incapacitated within the United Nations Security Council, till his power is neutralized legally within the United Nations Security Council. And that's probably a long process. That's not going to happen overnight. and while the bombing is happening nonstop, and we are seeing carpet bombing, and we're seeing these airstrikes nonstop, Gaza has no airplanes to defend itself. Gaza has no warships to defend itself. Gaza has no even ground dedicated army. What it has is the small group of people who have picked up arms and who call themselves the defenders. However, they are their value and their power is nothing compared to the immense use of heavy machinery and weapons being deployed right now. And right now, as I say these words, U.S. is also deploying 2,000 of its soldiers on the ground to pursue this genocide. So when you look at the balance of power, obviously there's a big difference. And Gaza cannot depend upon proxy. And if this is a proxy of Iran, like has been said many times, then it is not working in defending the people of Gaza, unfortunately. I know they're trying. I believe in the right of self-defense of the people of Gaza, but more has to be done. If it is a war flashed by the Israelis in collaboration with the US and NATO allies, then it has to be fought back against to protect the lives of the people of Gaza, to protect the lives of the people of Palestine in dignity and honor, with adequate arsenal, with adequate war plan, with adequate response, which means we're talking about airplanes downing the airplanes of Israel, which means we're talking about a fitful, befitting response that will deter Israel's war crimes, that will deter this apartheid. Um, you cannot sit down and just talk about it anymore. I'm talking about Iran, I'm talking about Turkey, I'm talking about Pakistan. These are the three biggest names in the Muslim world. If these attacks were happening in Lahore, a city in Pakistan, or Tehran, a city in Iran, or Ankara, a city in Turkey, what would the three global leaders have done in response? We saw what Erdogan did in response to the Ankara attack. Erdogan committed to airstrikes and fought against the militants who committed this act of terrorism, and neutralized them so that, or at least deterred them so that this doesn't happen again. Same thing with the Iran. We saw when Trump administration downed and killed Soleimani, within 48 hours, Ibrahim Raisi responded with airstrikes within 48 hours. In Pakistan, when India tried to invade Pakistan's claimed territory of Azad Jammu Kashmir with its airplanes in 2019, Pakistan downed those airplanes immediately. But in Gaza, what we are seeing is nothing. Nothing. There's nobody there. Where, I mean, you're fighting against Hamas. Where is Hamas? I mean, what are you talking about? Hezbollah? They have no value. They are shushed as terrorists by the entire Western hemisphere, and the Western masses are indoctrinated and mind programmed to perceive them as terrorists, unfortunately. The right of self-defense of the people of Gaza and Palestinians has been totally nullified by the propaganda and lies and deceitful perception of the U.S. leadership and the allies of the U.S. leadership in Germany, France, in UK, and in Italy, and the European Union. What we need to realize is this, that we have to fight on all fronts to try to protect the people of Gaza. We have to fight the information war, which is the only good thing that has come out today, which is different from the previous times. I have been campaigning for Gaza, for the right of self-defense, since 2013. And the first thing I've noticed that is positive is that we have been able to defeat the narrative built up by the Zionists against the people of Palestine for the first time. That even those people who are non Muslims living in non Muslim countries are not supporting the Israeli narrative anymore. And they are willing to trust the narrative and the reporting from the pro Palestine activists and news channels. They have more faith and they feel that these sources are more credible compared to what the Israeli owned and propagated media is telling them. For the first time, we are seeing that people gathered in front of BBC to contend against BBC's lies and unilateral advertising of Israeli propaganda. And for the first time, we are seeing BBC anchors coming up and saying that they're sorry for misreporting the pro-Palestinian rallies. This is huge. This may look like a small ripple in the pond, but this has huge repercussions that we have synonymously defeated the Israel's information war against the people of Palestine. And this is also good because the US Congress lies and deceitful propaganda against the people of Palestine has also been defeated. And the American people do not believe their own Congress anymore. And this is great. This is a big achievement. However, when it comes to persistent loss of life in Gaza, we have not been able to make a single dent in the entire situation. I think every time Israel is able to get away with carpet bombing Gaza in every airstrike and massacring more Gaza children, we are losing as humanity and as mankind and as the world. And it's very important to do something about it. But while the legal litigation process is going to take forever because of the red tape and because of the obstacles and hurdles, because we have been going that route for the last 7 decades. I was not even born 7 decades ago, but I have seen since I've been born a continuous struggle to be able to convince the litigation platforms that Palestine has the right stance and has the rightful claim to its own state that has been occupied, colonized, plundered, and destroyed, decimated by Israeli oppressor. So what do we do now? Again, proxies are, while I don't know how much they're helping, honestly, because Israel is not using any proxies in Gaza as we speak. For the last, excuse me, for excuse me, for the last many decades, Israel has resorted to all-out war, where genocide has taken place not once but many times, supported full-fledged by the US regimes who have come in the past too, and by the NATO allies. So what are we going to do this time that's going to be different and that's going to make sure that the Gaza civilians are going to be protected? We have to send airplanes to Gaza. I am not joking about this, okay? I am not joking about this. If you support Palestine, if you support Gaza, if you support the people of Gaza, then you are responsible for protecting the lives of the people of Gaza. And you can see that the so-called Hamas group, the so-called proxy of Iran, is not able to defend them. Neither is Hezbollah. And so what do we do next? Who has the airplanes? Turkey has airplanes. Pakistan has airplanes. Iran has airplanes. If airplanes can be used to neutralize terrorism against Ankara and invasion into Azad Jammu Kashmir, and can be used to deter the attack on Soleimani, then why can't airplanes be used by these three countries to deter Israel? Why can't the Israeli airplanes be downed as they try to enter the airspace of Gaza? Why do the people of Gaza have to leave their homes to allow Israel to basically just bulldoze their houses and build their more settlements and convert this whole misadventure into its Nakba Part 2 or continuation of Nakba Part 1? This is something we have to realize, that if you're going to just sit down and talk about it and call each other and wait for someone to take a lead, nothing is going to happen. More people are going to die. And while we wait for the United Nations Security Council to do something about it, we have to understand that United Nations Security Council is controlled completely by the Biden administration and his allies in NATO, who are not supporting Palestine, the human rights of Palestine, and who are technically as much of terrorists as Israel itself is. Israel is basically the weapon of mass destruction. Israel is, as Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said on the first day of its inception, that it is the illegitimate bastard child of US and NATO. So how do you expect US and NATO to act against its own bastard child, illegitimate child? They are not going to act. The governments are corrupt. The governments are on the paycheck of the Israeli lobbyists. They don't work for the American people. They don't work for the European people. They don't work for the British people. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about peace. They want a war. They want a crusade. They've been inflicting a crusade against the Muslim nations for the last many years. They have been single-handedly responsible for a genocide of many Muslims, not just in Iraq and Afghanistan. They have droned Pakistani children, Yemeni children, indiscriminately, and called it collateral damage. I still remember during the Obama administration, a Kunduz MSF hospital was droned, was destroyed, bombed. So this is something that they do all the time, and they get away with it. Now, the one thing that you can do is deterrence. You can try, you can vow to defend Gaza, Al-Quds, Al-Aqsa, Palestine, with your armies, with the Iranian army, with the Pakistani army, with the Turkish army. We can do that, and you have to do it. You have to make sure that you save the lives, and you take a vow to try to save the lives, in the real sense of it, the lives of the people, the children of Gaza. There is no more if and but about it. 3,000 have been massacred, and 1,000 children have been totally annihilated, decimated, destroyed, and and Israel is not getting deterred, it's actually getting empowered, because you are just talking amongst each other, and your proxies are not helping. They are useless. So when someone is committing an all-out war against you, you don't sit back and talk about it or do conferences. Time is tissue. It's a time-sensitive matter. You have to save lives of civilian people who are not terrorists. It is the right of the people of Gaza, who have no army to defend themselves. They have no weapons. They have no army. So where do they get the weapons from? Where do they get the airplanes from? Where do they get the warships from? If there are 2 warships of US sitting in the Mediterranean Sea right now, or the Red Sea, how come we don't have 4 ships of Iran and Pakistan and Turkey right next to those 2 warships? If there are aircrafts of Israel coming into the territory of Gaza, how come they're not being downed by the aircrafts of Turkey, by the aircrafts of Iran, by the aircrafts of Pakistan? I mean, what's the explanation for this sitting back and looking at it and watching it and just talking? Would you be talking if this was happening in Lahore or Karachi? Would you be talking if this was happening in Tehran or Isfahan? would you be talking if this was happening in Ankara or Istanbul? I am not taking the names of the others. The GCC can play a pivotal role and end this war in 2 days, like I said in my speech from yesterday. But they need to have the guarantee that they are not going to be touched in the aftermath, that Mohammed bin Salman is not going to be assassinated like King Faisal. Who's going to give him that guarantee? Who's going to give him that security? That go ahead, do the oil embargo, go ahead, drop the petrodollar, and we are going to try to protect you. Is Iran going to give Mohammed bin Salman that guarantee? You have to stop pointing fingers at each other, because that has not saved the lives of Gaza and the Palestinian people. That is not going to protect Al-Quds. That is not going to protect Al-Aqsa. You are under attack. The Muslim Ummah is under attack. It has been under attack for the last many decades. And you're just talking amongst each other. I am not trying to criticize, but the day Raisi and Mohammed bin Salman do a press conference, which should be done within the next 24 hours, hug each other and tell each other that they have each other's back, where Mohammed bin Salman is going to commit an oil embargo and drop the petrodollars. And Ibrahim Raisi is going to make sure that he has Mohammed bin Salman's back. That day, Gaza is going to be saved. That day, this war is going to end. That day, the ceasefire is going to happen. That day, Israel is going to be deterred. You have to get rid of your grudges, and you have to act, and you have to stop talking. We are not interested in what you're saying anymore, and what you're saying standing on your podiums anymore. What are you doing about it? What have you done about it? What is your plan of action? What is your war strategy? What is it? People are dying. Israel is decimating Gaza, carpet bombing. What are you doing? Hezbollah, Hamas, seriously? That's your response? Seriously? Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.